Okay.
That's it.
Now, some of you have seen this before, and others of you it's your first time. So if it's your first time seeing it, we'd like if any of those people have questions, they can ask it. Once again, there are guests here tonight. They came because they were invited to come back to answer some questions and to allow people who may not have seen it the first time an opportunity to see it again.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, and we'll be taking questions on this site and how it affects this site. We're not going into everything else. They've come back and we're going to talk about this site.
Of course, of course. Thanks, Jim. Thank you for having us. My name is David Altman. I'm in the law firm of Harris Beach. My office is in Melville at 538 Guadalajara Road. I'm the attorney for the applicant. With me tonight is Dave Bittner from High Point Engineering. They're the civil engineers who designed this plan. And of course, Joe Macchia, who is the applicant and property owner, is here with us tonight. How many folks were at the meeting that was held last year? Just a show of hands. Good. So the plan that's in front of you tonight is the same plan that was presented almost a year ago to the day. I think it was the meeting was May of last year, I believe, in any event. The property which we're all looking at tonight, it's on the easel in front of me, is what's called site plan. Copies of which have been filed to the town, so if anybody wants to obtain a copy, they can from the town. This is 5220 Merrick Road. It's at the southeast corner of Merrick Road and West Shore Road. The site itself is fairly indicative of a gas station that was typically built in the late 40s, 50s. And that's exactly when this site was initially built as a gas station, on or about 1958. The site area itself, and I'll just give you a little background information or pedigree information. The site itself is about 15,413 square feet in area. It has frontage on Merrick Road of 140 feet and a frontage on West Shore Road of approximately 95 feet. Right now, the applicant proposes 2 curb cuts on Merrick Road, which is on the northern portion of the site. The western curb cut will be ingress only, and the eastern curb cut will be egress only. The curb cut on West Shore Road will be full service right in, right out, as well as left turns. Right now, I'm sure most of you are fully familiar with the site. The site itself, I believe, has been, previously, as I mentioned, was a gas station for the better part of 50 years. It hasn't been operating as such, I think, since circa 2007, if I'm not mistaken. You guys, I think, you know probably a little better than myself, but that's the records that the town indicates. So, for about 10 years, it hasn't been operating. The existing gas station building remains, and the applicant proposes to keep that building as such and to rehab that building. We're actually going to make the building slightly smaller. Right now, the existing building is around 1,450 square feet. We're actually going to reduce the size of the building slightly to 1,345 square feet. In addition, we're going to be putting in 3 new gas pumps parallel and close to Merrick Road. They're going to be inline pumps, slightly angled for incoming traffic off of Merrick Road. And there will be a ground sign located at the corner of Merrick Road and West Shore Road. West Shore Drive, rather. My apologies. In addition, the site, which right now you all know doesn't look very pretty, is going to be completely re-landscaped. We're going to be installing landscaping along that northwest corner of the site, as well as a landscaping buffer along the southern portion of the site. The trash enclosure will be located at the southeast portion of the site, as well as a loading stall, which is required by code. There's going to be a single row of arborvitae along that southern property line, as well as a decorative white PVC fence. With respect to site lighting here is going to be LED site lighting. It's going to be what's known as full cutoff, meaning it shines straight down, which you see at most of the current modern gas stations today, and it will be code compliant with the town's lighting requirements. With respect to the pumps themselves, you know, certain gas stations, sometimes you call up to them, they'll have loudspeakers or TVs. We're not going to have any of that at the pumps here, recognizing our proximity to residents to the south. Deliveries at the site, which I'm sure may be a question for some or a concern for some, are going to be made during off-peak daytime hours, so say after 9 a.m. and before 4:30 p.m. There are no night deliveries here.
That was one of the questions raised to me. As regarding the lighting, the people on West Shore Drive, that will avoid their windows, especially bedroom windows?
Correct. So the building itself, in terms of any of the lighting from the interior of the building, and including the wall sign, which is on the north side of the building facing Merrick Road, projects towards Merrick Road. The side of the building here, the west side of the building, will have no lighting on it, such that there's nothing that projects towards West Shore Drive.
What about the canopies?
The canopy itself will be illuminated in terms of the north side, east and west side. We can discuss, and we're certainly amenable to considering non-illumination of the south side as a possible condition.
Do you know the lumen output at this point that you're proposing, is that it should be?
I'm sorry?
Do you know the lumen output that you're proposing will be, obviously they're going to be LEDs, so they'll be.
You're referring to beyond the canopy lighting?
Yeah, all the lighting and
Dave, you
everything.
want
We're compliant that we're at the 3.0 average that the town requires.
Okay, for nighttime use, no matter what time it's on, but if you have an LED light that's over 3,000 lumens for evening use, it can interfere, it's been proven that it can interfere with sleep and sleep patterns of people, disrupting them. That's the whole big issue with the gas having too much lumen output, that's why they're getting them now and everything else. So, 3,000 day or less evening lumen output, that's something we want to look into and address. Especially because.
I believe all the lighting is dark sky compliant,
Right.
which is anywhere between 5 and 3,000 lumens.
5 is, you know, I'm just.
Yes.
We hear your comment, so.
Right.
But right now, the
You
plan
know,
is submitted as dark skies.
My house is 3 homes away.
On West Shore Drive?
Yes,
Okay.
so I am in direct sight of any type.
Are you on the west side of West Shore?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm in direct sight, and I do have bedroom windows in the front. I mean, we already have a street light that does project, we try as much to have darkened shades, but when you're putting additional lumens on there, and again, we've been, my husband works for a lighting company. We're very much aware of what lumen output.
I appreciate that. So again, you'll notice again with respect to the building, it's towards the eastern portion of the site.
Mhm.
Lighting again from interior projects northward towards Merrick Road.
Right.
And with respect to the canopy itself, again, the lights are recessed, full cutoff LEDs.
And what about around the sides of the canopy? Is that,
You asked in terms of the canopy lighting, so
Yeah.
it's proposed to be illuminated on, as I mentioned, on the west, north, and east. We would consider, and I'll discuss that with the applicant, relative to no illumination on the south side.
on the south end, and even that east side should be, that west side, sorry,
The west
west
side.
side might be an issue as well because of the way it's going to be facing.
We'll consider it, but bearing in mind again, the preponderance of traffic entering the site is going to be coming eastbound.
Lynn, if I may, Linda has put a lot of research into this issue, and she has a letter that will be going to the town board and to you with suggestions. Am I right in saying you're not against the gas station?
No, I mean, to fairness, he bought a piece of property, it's a gas station, he's allowed to run a legitimate business, and that's not the issue. We like it, the look of the building and the way it looks to comply. I mean, we have 2 beautiful parks. We have one right across the street, we have one right next to us, and we don't want an industrial commercial look. We'd like the design of the building to be something in compliance with the beauty of the neighborhood. We also like it to be respectful to us because those that live right at the beginning of West Shore really have a direct impact as far as the traffic flow, the lumen outputs, the noise level and everything like that. So, we'd like it to be very, consideration taken to us as neighbors And also, there are a couple of things that you might not be aware of just because you don't live in the neighborhood and you haven't studied, but we are very concerned with the traffic flow coming onto West Shore and leaving West Shore. There is a huge amount of traffic, especially, well, actually all times of day. The street is also used by the school district. A lot of kids coming up and down the street to train for the track team, the football team, and they're all running up and down the street. With an increase of traffic and then people trying to get in and out of that gas station and maybe closed entrances on West Shore, was a concern for safety. Was a big concern for safety. During the course of the summer, when the concerts are both here at Marjorie Post and at John Lawrence, the overflow of traffic are all the way down West Shore and South Merrick Road, which is additional traffic. The turkey trot that's every Thanksgiving, everybody in this neighborhood knows, everybody goes down West Shore. That's where it starts, from John Lawrence down West Shore. It's a very big concern with safety, especially with our kids. These kids cross the street, they don't always look. I don't think anybody in this room wants to hear of a child getting hit because the car is trying to turn on Merrick, from Merrick Road onto West Shore to get into the gas station.
Just ask everyone before we enter this comment that we let them finish the presentation
Yeah.
in whole.
And then
Otherwise, some of the questions might be answered as they go through the presentation. And it's just a little bit more orderly fashion, so he's not answering some that he may answer as part of the presentation.
And Linda, when do you think the letter will be finalized?
Probably depending on how this goes, the next year.
All right, so if you could give the applicants a copy too,
Absolutely.
as well as all the town board members, because the process is, it'll be a special use permit, and the town board will have to vote on that, the supervisor and the council members. Why is it special use?
Yeah, can we finish the presentation first, and then we can answer any specific questions? Only because it starts chopping it up, we'll never get through the presentation. Each stop.
So I've gone through most of the presentation. You have the overview of the build and what the applicant proposes relative to structures on site. I know it's been expressed previously and talking to the town that the use is going to be a 24/7 use. I know some of you have issue with it, but let me just explain a couple of things relative to that from the applicant's standpoint, just so you understand, and I hope you can appreciate. Obviously, again, you're familiar with the condition of the site. The investment here that the applicant is going to be making into the site is roughly going to be $1 million or more in terms of capital improvement. That's a pretty substantial dollar figure in terms of being able to operate the site and to repay capital costs. One of the things that the applicant is going to need is 24/7 use. That is especially compelling when you have competitors in the area, and there are competitors in the area to the east and to the west that also operate on a 24/7 basis. So to be consistent with other gas stations and convenience stores in the area, there's going to be looking to do that as well. Bearing in mind again that the site has been designed to optimize and minimize any intrusion to the residents to the south and to the southwest of the site. If there's anything else I can tell you relative to the build-out and operations, I'm happy to answer those questions. Yes, ma'am?
Is it going to be a convenience store?
Yes.
Will they be selling cigarettes?
There will be some cigarettes sold. Yep.
The question was asked by this gentleman, why do we use the terminology special use permit?
So a special use permit is a legal term of art, and I'll explain to the best of my ability what it generally means. A specially permitted use is a use that a municipality deems permitted under the code, but the use itself may have certain aspects to it where there's some heightened scrutiny towards the use itself. So a gasoline service station is one of those uses.
What's a gasoline service station?
Right.
That's why I'm asking. I mean, I'm a lawyer, I'm just saying, why? Because it's open 24/7? Is that the
No.
aspect? But I mean, I don't.
No, not
It's a
necessarily.
gas station for 30 years, using it as a gas station again. I mean, so I don't understand what the point is.
Again, it goes to the nature of the use. Commonly, you see, we do a lot of retail development work. So one of the common components on retail development work, say for fast food or a bank, or even your local pharmacy these days, what's one of the common components? Drive-through, right? Well, drive-throughs in just about every municipality that I can think of require a special permit. So it's a determination by the municipality that there's some additional consideration that needs to be given beyond, quote, an as-of-right use, and they'll attach certain conditions to that use. If the conditions are met, the use has to be granted, that's what the rule says.
What, cooking on there, is that what it is?
There is no cooking here. This is going to be no cooking here, this is purely prepackaged.
The conditions.
Yes, ma'am.
In order to put in the new gas station island there, will they be digging up the old tanks?
The old tanks are gone. They're gone already. Sir?
One of the points is the entrance and exit on West Shore Drive. That's going to create a traffic nightmare at that location. That's a very busy street. Is there any chance that that could be eliminated and/or possibly just an entrance to the station? People exiting there, it's going to be a nightmare.
I hear your concern, and let me discuss that with the applicant and consider it.
We, that also is in the letter Linda and her committee came up with to not have one on West Shore Drive.
You know, again, in all due respect, you know, like, because you gentlemen don't live in the neighborhood, you don't realize.
Actually, I do.
You do?
Yes.
And you have to know that if you travel past West Shore, and also know that West Shore Drive, Uncle Road, and East Shore Drive are considered emergency exits in the neighborhood. So God forbid that there is an emergency, those 3 points of entering and exiting are going to be the residents way out if we have to.
Understood.
You know, aside from all the other activities that occur within the area and the use of the street.
Sir?
Has that property been completely remediated? Because I see they were monitoring one of those.
Remediation is still ongoing and actually part of the process when we start our work on the site is going to be a complete
Dave, can I just add in?
Sure.
This site is actually being remediated by ExxonMobil as of the old spill. So we granted them what they call an access agreement, which says that they are allowed to enter our property and remediate the property. It's an ongoing remediation.
So what will happen after you start your renovation and have to, you're going to obviously insert your tanks into the ground. Are they going to be able to have the access to continue to check the soil?
Oh yeah, they'll still be monitoring wells and remediation going on.
In regard to, I know you have to sink the tanks into the ground, and I know that there are different rules and regulations on how that can be done, and I know that there's steel or that has to go around it, which counts into the ground. Well, when they were doing that to try to control the leak that was created by ExxonMobil, that pounding actually shook my house pretty well. And I had some nice cracks that I had to call in a painter and have repaired and stuff because of the vibration. If that's going to be for 3 separate tanks or more going in, you know, I'm concerned about the structural safety of my home, you know, and it's a concern. And I understand there's new rules and regulations that weren't there before, and this has to be done. I understand that, but that's a concern I have as a homeowner 3 houses away.
Got it.
How would that work, in your opinion as counsel, if there was damage to the house, let's say Mrs. Smith, and she would, how would that, whose liability would that be? Our homeowners or?
More likely than not, yes. But suffice to say, there's a problem. We're going to be members of your community. We want to be a member of your community, and if there's an issue, I want you to let us know.
Okay. I mean, you know.
We don't turn it deaf ear.
I mean, you know, look, I knew what had to be done and knew why they were doing it. They pounded for about a week or 2 and then they were done. But, you know, I did call the town afterwards and said, you know, it's a response.
She's talking about the shoring, to shore the hole, so the hole doesn't collapse. They drive steel shoring into the ground. I know what you're talking about.
I understand, you know, it has to be
And
done.
the typically is about a 3-day process.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, I mean, well, how many times are you gonna be sticking in? Because it's 3 days for each tank.
No, we have 2 tanks.
Just 2 tanks. So.
Tank feels right.
It'll be one tank hole that's shored on 4 sides, so the 2 tanks will go in the same hole.
Okay. But, you know, it's still a concern that you should be.
I think Dave told you that there's an issue.
Sir,
Yeah, 2 questions. Is there going to be beer and alcohol sold in the location?
to my knowledge, yes, they'll be here.
And the second question was, what was the reasoning that the town gave to you that it had to be a specialty use permit required? Maybe you explained it, but I didn't understand. What was the reasoning that it is specialty permit? They must have told you why, right?
It's plain and simple, it's in their code.
It's what?
It's in their code. It's
In
the
their
town code.
That a gas station has to be a specialty use?
A gas station is a special use permit, and matter of fact, it's a special use permit in any municipality here online. Yeah.
I just don't know. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What oil firm are you going to be leasing this to, and what store will you be using?
What firm am I leasing this?
It's going to be branded BP.
Branded BP.
Will be BP, and the store too will be BP store?
BP shop, yes.
Okay, and you're going to have a long-term lease with them, I imagine?
Yes.
As far as the.
It's going to be branded, it's going to be branded it's going to be branded BP. Our lease is with an individual operator, not BP.
And the mini mart part of it, is that also BP?
All one lease.
Okay.
Who's responsible for the repair of it? Who's responsible for the repair of it? You as the owner landlord, or?
There's certain responsibilities of mine, certain responsibilities of the tenants.
Gentlemen,
With the limited unpaved surface, have you come up with a snow removal plan? So you're gonna bank snow, how are you gonna clear that lot of snow?
in its current condition,
No, in its proposed condition, do you have a snow removal plan?
gentlemen,
But you would develop one when you get it. I mean, it'd probably be retaining a private, snow removal company.
Did the owner investigate any other use remaining in the gas station?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Did the owner investigate the possibility of using it?
For something other than a gas station.
Yes.
In looking at the code and given the location of the site, its size, etc., this is pretty much the only thing that makes sense, to be honest with you. Gentlemen at the very end.
At the last meeting, if my memory serves, we went over the planning as you're discussing now, and it was proposed, I think, to have it completed by this February, if I got that right. Can you tell us what happened with that plan? Was it a town problem? Was it money? In other words,
I was not at the prior meeting, so I'm not going to tell you. I'm cognizant of the quote meeting.
There are numerous reviews that have to take place through traffic, county, secret, environmental, and those reviews took longer than expected. And actually they just finished up, so now they can proceed, and we asked them to come back before it goes before the town board. We're waiting on a town board to schedule a hearing date. We don't have one as of yet. As soon as it does, the community will be made aware. But there were a lot of environmental and traffic reviews that took longer than we expected, I think, at that back meeting.
assuming the town green lights it, can you give us a rough projection when the construction might actually begin?
From when the permit is approved.
Just a rough idea, 6 months, 8 months?
As soon as we have a permit in hand, we will start. Assuming we can get through get a town board hearing in the next 2 or 3 months, this town board hearing, and there may be the need to go to the board of appeals for a variance or two, particularly as it relates to site signage. But other than that, just based upon my experience with the town, And with Jim's help, hopefully, we can think about maybe next spring to be breaking ground, if not sooner. Next spring, if not sooner.
Approximately, what would be the length of construction?
I will defer to Mr.
4 months. 4 months.
Okay, thank you.
Gentleman in the back of the counter.
Could you tell me, sorry, who did the environmental and traffic review, and who did the secret report? Did you say the secret report was finished?
Who did environmental and traffic review?
Yes.
For the town?
For this location, yes.
For the applicant, it was done by Stonefield Engineering.
Was there a review done by the town also?
Town conducts its own review, required under state law.
I'm sorry, do you know who did the review for the town?
Speak with Mrs. McCaffrey.
No? Okay.
Right. This our tenant?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Mr. Mackey just mentioned something which you should know. There's a section of the general municipal law, excuse me, known as section 239F. 239F is a required referral to the Nassau County Department of Public Works. They review the site plan and the proposed access points because Merrick Road is under the jurisdiction of Nassau County.
I understand that. I understand that, but I can tell you, I've been to every town meeting for the last 2 years, and this is the first I've ever heard of anything about this. And I'm under the impression that a secret review and a traffic review would have taken a resolution by the town board already, a vote by the town board already, so.
There's a difference between a review and an approval.
Excuse me?
There's a difference between a review and an approval.
Yes, I know, but the town would have paid a firm to do the review, the traffic review and the environmental review, and that would have taken legislation, a town resolution to approve that. That's why I was asking you who did it.
Commissioner Mack, on the planning and development, will answer that question.
Just in time.
Oh, okay. Oh, hi.
Thank you, Commissioner, for making your time available.
Sure. Although the secret review, the Department of Environmental Resources in the town of Oyster Bay oversees the environmental review of this project. I represent the Department of Planning and Development. I'm the commissioner there. So we look at the site plan and all the amenities on the property. And as the attorney indicated, Nassau County, Merrick Road is a county road. They do the review for the traffic. Now, the way it works for the review process and getting before the town board. I'll go through the whole process. The applicant submits their application to the town for the special use permit and the site plan approval. That application is sent to both departments, Planning and Development and Department of Environment. Each of the departments review the site plans and the applications for compliance with the town codes. It's a parallel path. Planning and Development, like I said, looks at landscaping, lighting, setbacks, all on the property. Environmental will look at all the environmental issues. At the point, for example, in this instance, Planning and Development, our review was done several months ago in terms of, again, landscaping, lighting, setbacks. The environmental review took longer. I do not know which consultant or which town employees reviewed the environmental application. Because again, that's a separate department. The Nassau County DPW, that took a long time for the 239F approval. Once Planning and Development receives the 239F approval from the county and an interdepartmental memo from the Department of Environmental Resources saying that their review is complete, Planning and Development will send the entire package over to the town board office and the town attorney's office to ask for a hearing to be scheduled. That will be the first time the application will be brought before the public. So the town attorney's office will schedule the hearing, and the hearing will be based upon the application, and at that point, the environmental process will be reviewed, as well as the site plan application will be reviewed, as well as any other legal requirements. So, sir, Mr. Rep, in answer to your question, there would not be a resolution yet before the town board for any of this application. The first resolution will be calling the public hearing at a future date to be published publicized in the local newspaper.
So then the town's Department of Environmental didn't have any,
Public hearing.
no, excuse me?
Input?
No, what I'm saying is they didn't hire anyone to do any investigation, not investigation, but any environmental review into this yet, is what you're saying?
No, I don't know what their process is.
Because he said they hired someone, they already did an environmental review.
We hired.
Oh, okay.
They have to hire an environmental firm to submit certain documents to the Department of Environmental Resources. That department will either use in-house staff to review all the environmental documents, or they may hire an outside consultant. Based upon when this application was submitted, which was quite a few, either over a year, 2 years ago, there might have been a consultant working in Department of Environmental Resources. He might have reviewed it, or current staff might have reviewed it, but I don't have that answer. That you can find out from,
Commissioner, if
Thank you.
there was an appetite of some members of the committee or the civic, a limited number, to sit down with your staff and ask questions, let's say, about the traffic engineering report of the environmental, could that be accomplished?
well, that wouldn't be through me, because I'm planning and development. That would have to be the Commissioner of Department of Environmental Resources, which Jim could, reach out to and speak to him about that. But I can't speak for that department.
Okay.
I don't know, in East Shore, West Shore Drive, I suggest if you're from the town, try 7 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to go to work. Between the school buses, you can't even, the traffic's backed up all the way to Suffolk Avenue, which is down the block. And if you ever try to cross that street, you want to take your, well, in my case, my grandchildren to the park, between the right turn on red, and now with a gas station, it's going to be a nightmare. And again, with all due respect, come and you say you live in the neighborhood. How could you not know that? Everybody knows West Shore Drive is the worst street. Sometimes I go out of my way to go another way. And now you're going to add 2 more left turn. It's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be an accident waiting to happen.
I live across the street. I am in the house that faces that gas station. I got hit 2 months ago, coming out of my driveway with my children in the car, taking them to school from the crazy drivers going up and down West Shore Drive. I can tell you right now, I am beyond opposed to this, like you don't even know. When I bought this house in 2004, it was because there was a Delta gas station that closed at a reasonable hour. I have 2 children in elementary school. I have petitioned, I've written to every politician known to man to get better traffic situations, better traffic rules in that area, to get no rights on red, all kinds of stuff, and nobody's done anything. But now there's a property that needs permits. There's some owner got a property at auction, knowing that they didn't have the proper permits for a 24-hour gas station, and the town's just going to be like, yeah, whatever?
No, well, we're not, number 1. Number 2, I will take back your comments and your comments regarding the traffic, and I will speak with the Commissioner of Department of Environmental Resources.
I have one more thing to say. I have a stack of letters, which I would have given them to you. I'll be glad to forward them, from whoever's in charge of traffic, asking for a stop sign between Suffolk and West Shore. If you walking, I know because I walk the dog, they speed, there are no stop signs. And the last letter I got,
And it's like a racetrack.
yeah.
That's my son's school bus.
And the last letter I got from whoever's in
Folks,
charge.
we gotta focus on the gas station.
No, but I'm just telling you about the traffic. You're adding to the problem.
Guys,
You're gonna add to the
hold on a
problem.
second. We have them here, we have to focus on the gas station, West Shore Drive, and the stop signs are a whole.
No, but I'm just trying to show
You don't
you
think that
how
that's
bad
the
it
problem?
is.
The gas station?
The stop
It's gonna
sign
get
at
worse.
Suffolk going into the gas station is people coming out of Nassau Shores.
She's
and the way
pointing
that
out
they-
that
No,
from
I'm not,
Suffolk
you're
to Merrick.
misunderstanding me.
She's pointing out
Yeah,
from
she knows
Suffolk
what
to
I'm talking
Merrick,
about.
there's a massive
It's, the
traffic
traffic's
problem.
horrendous.
And adding
Yeah, but
that
the-
gas station
the
that you
stop-
want to
the stop
focus
sign there
on
is
adds to
different
that traffic problem that we have been writing officials about for years. and ignored.
No stop signs are a different topic.
Also, any stop signs that is needed, you should address it to the town board. Am I right on that, Jim? It starts
Yes.
with the town board. I know personally I've worked with traffic engineering to help the traffic flow through there. It's a little better, but we can re-examine that issue.
They usually allow two people to
Since the owner,
Go ahead.
since the owner purchased the property, has there been any consideration to do something other than a 24-hour? You're saying that financially it needs to be maxed out because he's going to put $1 million in. If you drive through the streets of Nassau Shores, you see all the improvements in all the homes, and people have also put investments into their homes to hopefully keep the property value of their homes, and they don't want something that's going to draw away from that property value. Has there been any consideration to do something so the owner can meet his financial needs without doing a 24-hour? Is there something else he could do there that's not a 24-hour?
I think a similar question was asked. First, we're in the petroleum business, number one, but number two, having looked at the other uses that are, quote, allowed in the zoning district, this is the only one that makes sense. It really does.
Well, it might make sense to the owner,
But that's us.
I'm not debating it with you.
The other half of the question was, has he considered the property value of the owners of the Nassau Shores property?
The answer is yes.
Also, Linda's committee is recommending an earlier closing.
We were suggesting, I looked around to see what businesses are open and what businesses are closed. The only one that's open 24/7 is Bola. The other businesses around the area close by 11, and we were proposing that he close by 11, open at 6 a.m. because the majority of his business is really during the day. This way he's getting the rush hour that he would need in the early morning. We didn't want to, we were trying to be fair and reasonable in regard to lighting, to traffic, to the fact that beer and alcohol is controlled. We already have a significant drug problem. We have a drug problem in the neighborhood. We have a drug problem in the school district in the area. We also have we have golf courses and parks in the area. We don't need anybody else coming into the area. We are, in regards to drugs and alcohol.
I hear you. Listen, look, we're not tone deaf to your concern. Please don't assume we're open your mind. I will certainly discuss that with Mr. Macchia following this meeting, and we'll certainly consider it. I'll tell you this, and I've done many, many gas station applications over the years, in addition to other retail uses where 24 hours is an issue. I will tell you, and you feel free to disbelieve or disagree, that's your choice. It's a better safety item for the community to have.
Well, is it in your neighborhood?
Exactly.
Because I don't want it in mine. Do you know how many, do you know how many cop busts I've seen up at Bola in the late hours because of the wackadoos?
Sure.
Okay, you don't care.
For branching off safety, I was reading a study, a government study, that correlated 24/7 marks with increasing crimes. My question to you is, can you explain to us what steps you would do to mitigate that risk? So security on the property, cameras, guards, to have maybe conversations with the police department, studies you've done to reassure us that there won't be an increase in crime, and if there is, that you would do something to mitigate it and maybe some security that you have on premise.
For the site is manned, there's 2 people per shift. There are closed circuit cameras, security cameras, right? There's direct line to the police and fire and safety and EMS. I don't believe there's a plan to keep security going on premises, but those are the typical measures that are put in place.
I did speak to the precinct, and like you may have noticed with Nick, they have oftentimes a police officer there. We can ask them again, especially when it starts the operation, if the town board approves the operation, that there be a police officer that is stationed there. That will be the taxpayer paying the freight as opposed to Mr. Macchia. And I just want to point out, previously, it was a repair station. now it's not going to be. So that lost revenue, if you will, has to be made up with something, and they've decided on a mini mart. The hours were my understanding, and the commissioner correct me if I'm wrong, but I think ultimately the town board will set the hours.
Yes, the way the hours work for fueling stations. All fueling stations need a special use permit before the town board and the town of Oyster Bay. The town code allows possibly for 24-hour fueling stations to operate on certain roads in the town of Oyster Bay. Merrick Road is one of them, Hempstead Turnpike, Sunrise Highway, Old Country Road, Glen Cove Road up north, Broadway. There's about 12 streets in the town of Oyster Bay that applicants can petition the board for the 24-hour use, but it will ultimately be decided by the town board to allow them to either operate 24 hours or to limit their hours to something reasonable. But that will be your opportunity for the town board to explain your concerns and bring up all the items that you have concerns about to the town board, and then it'll be decided. For example, if this neighborhood business commercial zone was on, West Shore Road, or another street, they would not be able to operate 24 hours, but because they front on Merrick Road, they can petition the board for the 24 hours.
Okay, we just have time for a few more questions. If we have questions that haven't already been asked, something...
Commissioner, I just wanted to ask one question. When the date is set for the public hearing and anyone can go to that,
Yes.
how will we let the residents know? Would you let me know and we'll let them
Absolutely,
know?
absolutely. It will be public notice in the local paper, and certain people within a certain radius will get a public notice mailed to them.
But anybody can come?
Anyone can come. I'm sorry.
And based usually on the time that a town board hearing has to be scheduled in advance, there'll always be an issue of the time beforehand. It'll be on the Facebook pages, it'll be on the website, and there'll be an email sent out. Once again, anyone that doesn't hasn't given their email to the Civic Association, please do. This is not something that's going to pop up overnight, and you won't know that it happened.
My question was about, are they considering letting two turns, for years used to have 2 lanes on West Shore Drive, because it's really 3 lanes on West Shore Drive, you turn right, but they stopped the second lane from turning years ago. That's one of the reasons why cars are backing up, 30 cars. Of course, we used to be able to turn 2 cars at a time. I don't know why, at some point somebody decided only 1 car at a time, so now the cars are backing up 30 cars, okay, instead of having 10, 15 cars and being able to turn. Because those people, that's the only problem I see with the one on right, because those people, unless they can turn into that middle lane, very few people turn right on West Shore Drive.
Is that town?
It's not really an issue.
West Shore is town jurisdiction.
People making level to get to the train station, okay, that's why it's so busy. You need 2 lanes to make that left. I mean, I don't know whether it's part of the application, but I mean,
we could look into that, and also the columns that are at each of the entrances, or we're going to be doing a beautification program. We're going to be doing a beautification program starting on West Shore Drive to light them up, somewhat modernize them. We need someone that will help us with fundraising on that, so if you're interested.
One of my issues
let
is
me
that you're
know.
going to be selling alcohol, you're going to be selling cigarettes and vaping paraphernalia. We have a 24/7 location at Boulder. We have 7-Eleven. Did we look into something more family-oriented, like an ice cream parlor? You've got John J. Burns, you've got Marjorie Post, you've got Berner. We've got kids that could walk over. Why does it have to be something that we already have in the neighborhood? Why can't it be something new and different?
He owns it, and this is the business he's in. and support it.
Any other questions that haven't been asked yet?
Ma'am?
I've lived in the neighborhood 35 years, about 10 houses there. There's been 3 gas stations tried to make it go with that spot and never happened. Nick made it go, but gas stations never did.
I guess the question would be, why are you any different? Answer to that?
Especially with
I think
gas stations.
I think he's good at what he does.
Yeah.
There's 2 other big gas stations within 4 blocks.
Sir, I'm going to make this the last question.
I have a question. Is there going to be parking on the street on this west side, on the west shore?
Parking on the site.
I'm talking about in front of the on Merrick Road, okay, in front of between the entrances and exit.
You're going to allow parking, you mean on the
Yes.
street?
Is there going to be any parking spots there for people to park?
On the street?
Correct.
On Merrick.
Between both spots.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying it, if you're gonna have entrance and exit, somebody pulling out from there, not seeing the car coming, if there's parked cars there, you understand?
There's a bus stop there, so there won't be parking there.
All right.
There's parking on the side on that,
Yeah.
Not allowed during the day.
The businesses that are on your businesses that are on this side, well, yes, what they do, they don't have no ample parking in the back. So they tend to park all here and then on South Merrick Road as well, and then further down West Shore. So in line with all of the other traffic, you have those people parking because of local businesses here.
Understood. So one of the things that we can certainly talk to the planning commissioner might be able to chime in is in terms of no on-street parking here, particularly from to the corner.
Yes, if that's what the community wants, again, it's another department that handles that, it's the highway department of the town of Oyster Bay. But you can put it, I would suggest collectively through your civic association, put a letter into the commissioner of highway and DPW requesting, no parking signs, and they will review it and process it accordingly.
Yeah, is that John Bishop still at this point?
He's the deputy commissioner, but Rich Lentz is the commissioner overseeing highway and DPW.
Okay.
You can get their information on the website, or
Yeah.
I can get it
No,
to Jim and so forth, right?
I call them and write them all the time,
Right.
so they know me well.
The question is that going to really alleviate the problem?
We have time for one last question, then we have to let them go to another zone here.
It's not clear whether the traffic impact study was done by the town, but in line with some of the questions that are coming up with the parking, there doesn't appear to be enough room on the right side of East Shore Drive, just before the West Shore, just before the driveway cut. The parking that's there that someone just mentioned seems to obstruct the left and right turn movement. So you have to eliminate the parking over there. You have a residence there. I don't know if that's really reasonable and feasible. The other thing is, I don't know how you're going to mitigate left turns out of the driveway cuts on Merrick Road. So typically when you want to put a gas station in and you're looking at high volumes, the highest volumes are going westbound in the morning.
Right, that's right.
So you're going to get a lot of left turn movements there. So, putting in the 2 left ways, I don't think it's going to mitigate the amount of volume that's going to come out of that station. It's going to be, people break the law there all the time. So now you have situations where you're going to try to take a left out of those driveway cuts. If you go to the public station, they don't allow those turns. There's signs.
This will be signs for no left turn.
Putting a sign up and
And it's
enforcing
channelized.
two different things, So, can you just articulate a little bit more on, what's being done to mitigate those traffic situations? And also, who's paying for the traffic modifications to give the section?
That's an applicant's responsibility should Nassau DPW and or the town so choose to impose. Again, this is going to be signed, no left turns in, no left turns out. These are channelized curb cuts, so you can't make the turn coming off of Merrick Road if you're heading westbound. If you want to enter the site for westbound traffic on Merrick Road, make left.
How are they going to get into that driveway? When there's a traffic jam,
They can't.
back up, so they're not going to be able to enter somebody's parking.
say, should we traffic?
Oh, in terms of this we can certainly talk to the town about signing for the left turns.
But signing is enforcement, you know, it says signs are really enforced the problem. It's such a potential problem, it's hard to believe that the Transportation Department, Nassau County hasn't looked at it and made some comments back to.
Nassau County has.
So what, just articulate on what kind of things they've come up with and suggested that need to be done?
Nassau County didn't have any comment in that regard, sir.
I think it's going to affect your business if people can't get in there. There's going to be hostility, and let's talk about some other mitigating situations. What if you have a fuel shortage? You're going to have traffic queued up, you know, going to the left there. Nobody's going to be able to make the left turn. People aren't going to be able to get into the gas station. People will be violating the sign. It's a static sign that is not going to control the situation. So I'm hard pressed to believe that the town looked at this and knowing everything that I said, that, you know, that's second nature to them in terms of these type of applicants. I can't imagine that they haven't, you know, raised this to be a significant issue.
If you eliminate the entrance on West Shore Drive and or exit, it will help tremendously.
Folks, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, that was the recommendation to eliminate West Shore Drive. Is that correct? Okay.
That's the